Hey everybody, I'm here today to talk to you about 5 causes of frost buildup in a freezer. I'll also be going over how to prevent frost buildup in a freezer. Let's get right into this video, okay? So 5 causes. There are many different causes, but these are probably 5 of the most common causes of frost buildup in a freezer. It can be a deep chest freezer like this, or it can be a regular sort of fridge freezer combo, okay? If you have frost in your freezer, this is the video for you. Number 1 is a damaged door seal. So basically the seal around the door basically prevents the cold air from getting out and prevents the hot air from getting into the freezer. When the door seal is damaged, it allows cold air out and hot air in, which creates moisture, which in turn basically causes the frost, because the moisture freezes and causes the frost, okay? Now there's a little bit of frost in this freezer. This is my, I call it a cantina. I grew up, I'm Italian, right? So I grew up calling it a cantina, but this is like a cellar or a cold room, you know, in my basement. So, you know, this is sort of like an old deep chest freezer that we used to just freeze various stuff. And the seal on it is quite old. And there's a little bit of frost in there, a little bit of frost buildup because of that reason, okay? So number 1 is basically if you have a bad seal or an old seal on the door that's not so good anymore, it can cause frost buildup. How do you fix it? Replace the seal. Very simple. They're really inexpensive and actually really easy to replace. So, you know, it's worth it to replace the seal. I'm probably going to do it on this freezer now that I think about it, so stay tuned for that video in the future. Cause or reason number 2 for frost buildup in the freezer is that the freezer door was left open for too long. So maybe your seal is good, but the freezer door was left open for too long. So once again, hot air got in, cold air got out, and that moisture then froze and caused the frost. The solution to that and how to prevent it is make sure you keep your freezer door closed, okay? So make sure you keep your freezer door closed, and I would say go to your freezer often enough that you're gonna notice if you leave it open. We use this freezer like once or twice a day. So basically, you know, even if someone leaves it open, you know, if my wife leaves it open or if I leave it open, we're going to notice within a couple of hours. But, you know, we basically have never left it open. We've never really caught it being left open. We make it a point to make sure it's closed before we leave the room, okay? Reason number 3, and obviously the solution is, like I said, close it, make sure it stays closed. Make a conscious effort to close it, okay? Reason number 3 is too much moisture in the surrounding room. Okay, so essentially, if there's too much moisture in the room or the air surrounding the freezer, that moisture is going to get into the freezer inevitably. Even if you only open it for a second, it's going to get in there. That moisture will then freeze and cause frost buildup. The solution is you know, get a dehumidifier possibly, or turn down the humidifier on your furnace or your air handler, your HVAC system, if that's what you use. Basically, you want to reduce the humidity around if possible. It's not always possible, but if it's possible, you know, in this room right now, it is the summer as I'm filming this, so it is quite humid. That is also going to contribute to the frost buildup in there, okay? Number 4 is if the power went off for a while. If your power went off for a while, then the stuff in there is going to start to thaw. When it thaws, it's going to become very moisturous. I'm not even sure if that's a word. Very moisturous, right? So it's not going to be frozen. It's going to be moisturous. It's going to be liquidy, right? And that moisture can then make its way to the walls of the freezer. When the power comes back on, then that can freeze up and cause frost. So the solution to that is, you know, make sure you're plugged into a power supply that's going to be constant. Make sure you're not, it's not a power supply that goes off constantly, or else you're definitely going to get frost buildup. Lastly, number 5 is that the freezer is too full or not full enough. You see, if your freezer is too full, there's not enough airspace in there. If your freezer is too empty, there's too much airspace in there. Both of those are going to cause frost buildup. Both of those can cause frost buildup along the walls of the freezer, okay? So yeah, basically, and the solution to that is fill your freezer up enough. So I'll give you an example. I'm not going to open this because I'm not even sure, like I didn't organize it. It might be a disaster, it might be a mess. I'm not even sure, you know what, we're going to open it. I mean, what's the worst case scenario? I'm just going to stand far back in case it's a disaster. There you go. No, it's not that bad. 1 second. There you go. I'm trying to stay far back to give you, like I said, I don't know what's in there. I have an idea, but it's all sort of mixed around. We got some popsicles, we got some hamburgers, we got some beef patties, got some chicken burgers down there, you know, just sort of like standard stuff. I'll give you a better view like that. But essentially, this is, in my opinion, a good amount of stuff to have in there. There's enough airspace, but it's also, there's enough stuff in there. Now you'll notice there is frost along there, and I did scrape off the frost about 8 months ago, 9 months ago. I scraped off all the frost in here. So this is about 9 months of accumulation. And like I said, it's probably because of a multitude of reasons. Number one, the seal is old and pretty bad, right? And then it's humid in here because it's a cold room and it's the summertime, right? So that hot air and that humid air is getting in there, right? You know, you get the idea. There's a few different reasons, right? But basically, in order to prevent the fifth cause, which is too much in there, too little in there, just make sure you're stocking it to the proper amount. And that's basically it. You know, you can fix the problem, but it can also be a few different problems together. Like I said, with this one, the seal is old. My wife got this freezer when she started university. So that was many, many years ago. I don't know. I'm not trying to do the math in my head, but it was probably like almost 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, give or take. Yeah, between 15 and 20 years ago, I'm just trying to do the mental math, she got this freezer. So this is an old freezer. You know, you can tell by the style of it that it's old. We're going to replace it. But I might just replace the gasket because that's one of the reasons. The gasket's bad. Over there, the seal is bad. The second reason is that it's in this room, which is quite humid in the summer because it's, you know, it's a cold room. It's just the nature of how it works. Yeah, so it's probably those two things together that is causing that problem. But yeah, that's it. Those are 5 causes of frost buildup in the freezer and how to prevent it. And if you do get frost buildup in the freezer, like I said before, then you can scrape it off. So what I did in the past, I did a previous video on it. You can go and look back on the channel or just search for it for how to remove frost buildup in a freezer and then put my channel name in there and you'll hear a familiar voice. You can scrape it off, you know, sort of get it out of the freezer and then you start fresh and see how long it takes for it to accumulate again. That's a pretty good idea. And then you can use that as a gauge for how often you should be scraping it off anyways. So I know I should be scraping it off, let's say every 5 to 6 months just because of it's been like 8 or 9 months and it's really built up. Yeah, that's it. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.